Welcome to my Expat Stories. What's the difference between an affair and an arrangement? That's what Pete wants to know. That's what he's been asking himself for 2 years. Because in his head, what he had with Jasmine wasn't cheating. It was practical, transactional, honest in its dishonesty. His wife couldn't give him what he needed. Jasmine could. He paid for it. Everyone knew what it was. Except turns out he didn't know anything at all. If you've ever convinced yourself that paying for it makes it different, hit subscribe. This one's messy. Here's Pete. I'm Pete. 59. Chelmsford, Essex. Run a logistics company. Import-export. Built it from nothing 25 years back. Make decent money. 6 figures. Big house, nice cars, comfortable life. And I've been married to Linda for 31 years. We've got 2 kids. Both grown. Both moved out. It's just us now. Me and Linda. Except it's not really us anymore. It's me caring for Linda. And Linda being sick. 3 years back, Linda was diagnosed. Breast cancer, stage 2. Caught it early. Good prognosis, she had surgery, mastectomy. Then chemo, then radiation. And she beat it. She's in remission now. Cancer-free. But the treatment destroyed her. Destroyed us. The chemo killed her libido. Killed her energy. Killed everything. She's exhausted all the time. In pain. On medication. And sex. Forget it. We haven't had sex in 3 years. Not since the diagnosis. She can't. Doesn't want to. Doesn't have the energy. Doesn't feel like a woman anymore. That's what she says. I don't feel like a woman. I feel like a patient. And I get it. I do. She's been through hell. I'm not going to pressure her. I'm not that bloke. So I accepted it. No sex. No intimacy. Just companionship. Just caring for her. Making sure she's comfortable. Making sure she's healthy. That's my role now. Caregiver. Not husband, not lover. Just caregiver. But I'm still a man. I still have needs. And those needs don't go away just because your wife's sick. They're still there, burning, wanting, needing. I tried ignoring them, tried focusing on work, on keeping busy, on being the good husband. But it didn't work. I was climbing the walls, desperate, frustrated, angry at myself for being frustrated. Because how can I be angry about not having sex when my wife's fighting cancer? What kind of selfish bastard does that make me? So I started looking, not for a relationship, not for love, just for release. Just for someone to make me feel like a man again. I tried massage parlours, happy endings, quick, efficient, but empty. I'd leave feeling worse than before. Guilty, disgusted, hollow. I tried escorts in London, higher end ones, professional. But still, it felt wrong, felt dirty, felt like I was cheating, which I was. But I wanted something that felt less like cheating, something more, I don't know, legitimate. That's when I found Filipino Cupid, dating site for Filipinas and foreign men. I'd heard about it. Blokes at the golf club talked about it. Filipinas are different. They don't judge. They understand arrangements. They're practical. I created a profile. Honest profile. Married. Wife sick. Looking for companionship. Not romance, not marriage. Just something simple. Something clean. I got dozens of messages. Women offering exactly that. I understand your situation. I can help, no strings, just us. Then I met Jasmine. Her message was different. Hi Pete, I saw your profile. I appreciate your honesty. I'm not looking for a husband. I'm not looking for love. I'm looking for a mutually beneficial arrangement. If that interests you, let's talk. Mutually beneficial arrangement. That's exactly what I wanted. Something that wasn't cheating. Something that was just business. We messaged for a week. She was direct, practical, no games. She told me what she wanted, monthly allowance, cover her rent, her expenses. And in return, she'd be available when I visited Manila. No drama, no demands, no expectations beyond the arrangement. I asked how much? £2,500 a month. I know it sounds like a lot, but I'll be exclusive to you. When you come to Manila, I'm yours. Completely. No other clients, no other men, just you. Exclusive. That word stuck with me. Not a prostitute with multiple clients. Not an escort available to anyone. Exclusive. Mine. When I visited, I said deal. Let's try it. I sent the first payment. Bank transfer to her account in Manila. She confirmed receipt. Sent me photos, her in her condo, Quezon City. Nice place, modern. Clean. She showed me around via video call. One bedroom, living area, kitchen, balcony overlooking the city. It looked legitimate. Real. Not some cheap setup. She said, "Thank you. You won't regret this. I'll make sure of it." A month later, I flew to Manila. Told Linda I had a business trip. Singapore. She didn't question it. She trusts me. Always has. Plus, she's too exhausted to care where I am, as long as I'm back to take care of her. I landed at NAIA, got a taxi to Quezon City, to Jasmine's condo. She met me in the lobby. And bloody hell. She was stunning. Photos didn't do her justice. 31. Long dark hair. Perfect body. Tight dress. Heels, makeup. She looked like she'd walked out of a magazine. We went up to her condo, and the awkwardness I expected wasn't there. She was confident. Comfortable. She poured me a drink, sat next to me, touched my arm, said, "How was your flight?" "Long, but worth it." "I'm glad you came. I've been looking forward to this." Me too. We talked for an hour. About life, about work, about Linda. She didn't judge, didn't criticize, just listened. Said, "I understand. You're a good husband. You're taking care of her. But you need care too. That's what I'm here for." And then we went to bed. And it was incredible. Not rushed. Not transactional. She took her time. Made me feel wanted. Made me feel like a man. Made me feel alive for the first time in 3 years. I stayed 4 days. With her in her condo. We'd wake up together. Have breakfast. She'd make coffee. Eggs, simple. Comfortable. Like a couple. But without the pressure. Without the expectations. We'd spend the day together. She'd show me Manila. Restaurants, malls, markets. We'd walk around like we were dating. Like we were normal. And at night, back to the condo. Back to bed. Back to feeling wanted. When I left, she hugged me. Said, "Come back soon. I'll be here waiting." I flew home. Back to Chelmsford. Back to Linda. Back to caregiving. But I felt lighter. Felt less frustrated. Felt like I could handle it now. Because I had Jasmine. 4 times a year. Quarterly visits. That's what we'd agreed. Every 3 months, I'd fly to Manila. Spend 4 or 5 days with her. Then come home. Recharged. Reset. Ready to be the caregiver again. And I kept paying. 2,500 quid a month. Every month. Whether I visited or not. Because that was the deal. That was the arrangement. Exclusive, available, mine. Linda noticed I was happier. "You seem better, less stressed. Work's going well. Business is good. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy." If only she knew. 6 months in, second visit. Same routine. Fly to Manila. Stay with Jasmine. 4 days of feeling wanted. Then home. Everything perfect. Everything working. 9 months in, third visit. Same. Perfect. A year in, fourth visit. I started noticing things. Small things. Her phone buzzing constantly. Her checking messages. Her being distracted sometimes. I asked her, "Is everything all right?" "Yeah, just friends. Just keeping in touch." "Right. Yeah, makes sense, but something fell off. Something didn't sit right. But I pushed it down. Told myself I was being paranoid. She's exclusive to me. That's the deal. That's what I'm paying for. 15 months in. 5th visit. I arrived a day early. Surprise visit. Thought I'd surprise her, make it spontaneous. Romantic even. I got to her condo building. Went up. Knocked on the door. She opened it. Looked shocked. "Pete, you're early. You said Wednesday." I said Tuesday. Must have miscommunicated. "Can I come in?" Yeah, of course." I walked in, and that's when I saw him. White bloke. 50s, sitting on the couch, drinking coffee, looking at me, looking confused. I said, "Who's this?" Jasmine panicked. This is my cousin. He's visiting, from Australia." "Your cousin? You never mentioned a cousin in Australia." The bloke stood up, said, "I'm not her cousin, I'm her. I'm also." "Wait, who are you?" "I'm Pete. Her boyfriend, sort of. We have an arrangement." "Arrangement, so do I. I pay her monthly. She's exclusive to me when I visit." We both looked at Jasmine. She'd gone white. Actually white. Frozen. I said, "What's going on? Who is this?" "I'm Graham, from Melbourne. I've been paying her 2,500 a month for 18 months. Same as you, apparently." Graham and I stood there, looking at each other, looking at Jasmine, not saying anything, Just processing. We both had the same arrangement, same monthly payment, same exclusivity promise, same lie. Jasmine tried to recover. Okay, look, let me explain. This isn't what it looks like. It looks like you've got two blokes paying you for exclusive arrangements that aren't exclusive. Graham said, how long's he been paying you? 15 months, I said. I've been paying 18 months, started before you. Jasmine sat down, put her head in her hands. I didn't want you to find out like this. Find out what? That you're running multiple arrangements? That exclusive means nothing. I needed the money. One arrangement wasn't enough. I have expenses, family, bills. I had to. Had to what? Scam multiple blokes? Graham said, are there others besides us two? She didn't answer. Jasmine, are there others? Yes. How many? 2 more. 2 more? So there's 4 of us total? All paying you $2,500 a month? All thinking we're exclusive? Yes. Graham did the math out loud. 2,500 times 4. That's 10 grand a month. You're making £10,000 a month from 4 married blokes who think they're your only one. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. The door knocked. We all froze. Jasmine's face went white again. Oh no, who's that? I don't know. Maybe. She went to the door. Opened it. Another white bloke, 60s, standing there, suitcase in hand. Hi, darling. Surprise. Thought I'd come a few days early. He saw us, saw me and Graham. Stopped. Who are these blokes? Jasmine started crying. Actually crying. John, I can explain. John from where? Canada, Toronto. How long you been paying her? 2 years, $2,500 a month. Why? Same as us. We've all got the same arrangement. All exclusive. Except none of us are. John walked in, put his suitcase down, looked at Jasmine. You've been taking money from all of us? For exclusive arrangements? And you've been lying. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. You didn't need to tell us. You just needed to not do it. We sat down. 3 blokes, 3 married men. All from different countries. All with the same deal. All played. Graham said, you mentioned 4. Where's the 4th? He's not coming this month. He comes next month. Who is he? American. Robert. From Texas. He's been paying 2.5 years. 2.5 years? He's been at this the longest. Yes. How much is he paying? Same. 2,500. We sat in silence. Just processing. 3 of us in the room. 1 more who didn't know yet. All married. All thinking we had something exclusive. All wrong. John said, why'd you do it? Why not just be honest? Say you're seeing multiple men. Charge less? Be upfront. Because you wouldn't have paid. None of you would. You wanted exclusive. You wanted to feel special. You wanted to think you were the only one. That's why you paid so much. If I told you I had others, you would have walked away. She was right. I would have walked away. The exclusivity was the point. The whole point. I wasn't paying for a prostitute. I was paying for a mistress. My mistress. Not shared. Not one of several. Mine. Graham said, how do you manage it? 4 of us. The scheduling? The visits? I have a calendar. I track when you're coming. I make sure you don't overlap. Usually. This is the first time. Usually, so this is just bad luck, bad scheduling. If we hadn't all shown up early or at the same time, we'd never have known. Probably. I stood up. I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm not paying for an arrangement that's not exclusive. John stood up. Same, I'm out. Graham nodded. Me too. This is bollocks. You played us. You took our money. You lied. Jasmine was sobbing. Please don't go. We can work this out. I'll reduce the price. You can all share. It'll be cheaper for everyone. Share. You want us to share you? Like a bloody timeshare? It doesn't have to end. We can make it work. It's already over. The second you lied. The second you took money from all of us pretending it was exclusive. I grabbed my bag. Graham grabbed his. John grabbed his. We walked out. Left her there crying, begging. But we were done. We went downstairs, stood in the lobby. 3 strangers who'd just discovered we were sharing a mistress. John said, what do we do? Do we tell our wives? I don't know. Do you want to? No, Linda doesn't need to know. She's been through enough with the cancer. This would destroy her. Graham said, same. My wife's got enough on her plate. This stays between us. I nodded. Agreed. We were idiots, but we don't need to drag them into it. We exchanged numbers. Just in case. Just to keep in touch. Make sure Jasmine didn't try to rope us back in. Make sure the fourth bloke, Robert, found out. Graham messaged Robert, got his contact from Jasmine's phone before we left, told him everything. Robert replied the next day, "Fuck, I've been paying her for 2.5 years. 65 grand, I thought she was mine. None of us were hers. We were all just ATM's monthly deposits. Scheduled visits. Managed like appointments. I flew home. Back to Chelmsford. Back to Linda. She asked how was Singapore. Good. Productive. You seem upset. Everything okay? Yeah. Just tired. Long flight. I went to bed. Lay there staring at the ceiling. Thinking about 27 months. Thinking about £67,500. Thinking about the exclusive arrangement that was never exclusive. Linda was in the other room, sleeping, sick, tired, unaware that her husband had been flying to Manila 4 times a year to sleep with a woman who was also sleeping with 3 other married men. And I felt it. The guilt, the shame. Not because I'd cheated. I'd accepted that. I'd justified it. Linda couldn't give me what I needed. Jasmine could. That was the deal. But the shame of being played, of being one of 4, of thinking I was special, of thinking the arrangement made it different, made it legitimate, made it not cheating. But it was cheating, and it was stupid. And I'd paid 67 grand for the privilege of being lied to by a woman who was juggling 4 married men and calling it exclusive. I messaged Jasmine one last time. How could you do this? We had a deal. Exclusive. That was the point. She replied, you wanted to feel special. I made you feel special. That's what you paid for. The feeling, not the reality. The reality is I needed money. You had it. You gave it willingly. That's business, not betrayal. Business. That's what she called it. Business, not betrayal. But it felt like betrayal. Felt like I'd been conned, even though I'd gone in with eyes open. Even though I knew what it was. The exclusivity made it bearable, made it feel less dirty, and she'd taken that away. I blocked her, deleted everything. Messages, photos, videos, all of it. Gone. And I tried to move on. Tried to go back to being just the caregiver, just the husband, just Pete, taking care of Linda. But I couldn't, because I'd tasted it. The feeling of being wanted, the feeling of being desired, and going back to nothing was impossible. So I started looking again. Different sites, different arrangements, different women, trying to find something that was actually exclusive, actually real, actually worth paying for. But I never found it, because it doesn't exist. Exclusive arrangements with mistresses in other countries don't work. They're all Jasmines. They're all juggling multiple men. They're all calling it exclusive while scheduling appointments in a calendar. And blokes like me, married blokes with sick wives or dead bedrooms or whatever excuse we tell ourselves, we're all desperate enough to believe it, to pay for it, to convince ourselves it's different. It's not cheating. It's an arrangement. Until we find out. Until we show up early. Until we meet the other blokes in the lobby. Until we realise we're one of several. And the exclusive arrangement was never exclusive. Linda died 8 months later. The cancer came back. Aggressive. Stage 4. 3 months from diagnosis to death. And I was there every day. Every moment. The good husband. The caregiver. The devoted partner of 31 years. And I never told her. Never confessed. Never said I'd been flying to Manila. Never said I'd spent 67 grand on a mistress who wasn't exclusive. Never said I'd been cheating. What would have been the point? She was dying. Why burden her with my failures? Why make her last months about my betrayal? So I kept it to myself. Took care of her. Held her hand. Told her I loved her. And I did. I really did. Even while I was paying Jasmine. Even while I was lying. I loved Linda. After she died, people said you were such a good husband. You took such good care of her. You're a saint. And I smiled. Said thank you. Said she deserved it. And inside I thought if you only knew. The guilt didn't hit immediately. Took months. But when it hit, it crushed me. Not guilt about the arrangement. Guilt about the lie, about spending 67 grand while Linda was sick. About flying to Manila while she needed me. About being selfish while she was suffering. I worked it out. £67,500. 27 months. £2,500 a month. Plus flights. 4 trips a year for 27 months. 9 trips total. Call it £1,000 per trip in flights and hotels before Jasmine, 9 grand in travel. Total. £76,500 on an exclusive arrangement that wasn't exclusive. Money I could have spent on Linda, on private healthcare, on alternative treatments, on making her last years comfortable. Instead, I spent it on feeling wanted by a woman who was making 10 grand a month from 4 married idiots. Graham messaged me after Linda died. Sorry for your loss, mate. You doing all right? As all right as I can be. My wife found out. About Jasmine. Saw the bank transfers. We're divorcing. 28 years gone. Because I couldn't keep it in my trousers. I'm sorry. Don't be. I did it to myself, same as you. We thought we were being smart. Thought the arrangement made it legitimate. Thought paying for it made it different. But it was just cheating with a price tag. John messaged too. Wife doesn't know. Never telling her. But I stopped. No more arrangements. No more mistresses. Just trying to be better. Good for you. Robert never messaged. Don't know what happened to him. Don't care. And Jasmine. I looked her up once. 6 months after Linda died. Still active. Still on Filipino Cupid. Still offering arrangements. Different profile name. Same photos, same pitch. Looking for mutually beneficial arrangement with mature gentlemen. Discretion guaranteed. She's probably found 4 new blokes. 4 new married men with sick wives, or dead bedrooms, or whatever justification they need. All paying monthly. All thinking they're exclusive. All scheduling visits that won't overlap. Until they do. Until 2 show up the same weekend. Until the lie falls apart. I tried dating after Linda. Normal dating. Women my age. Widows. Divorcees. Coffee dates. Dinner dates. Normal stuff. But it didn't work because I was ruined. I'd had the arrangement. I'd had no strings. I'd had sex without commitment. Without expectations. Without having to build a relationship. And normal dating required effort. Required caring. Required actually wanting to know someone. And I didn't. I just wanted what Jasmine gave me. Release without responsibility. So I'm back on the sites. Filipino Cupid. Others. Looking for arrangements. Messaging women. Offering monthly payments for quarterly visits. Trying to find another Jasmine. But exclusive this time. Actually exclusive. Except I know it won't be. I know they are all lying. I know they've all got multiple men. I know the exclusivity is part of the package. Part of what we're paying for. The feeling of being special. The feeling of being the only one. Even if we're not. I'm Pete, 59, Chelmsford, widower. And I can't stop looking for arrangements. Can't stop trying to pay for what Linda couldn't give me. Can't stop chasing the feeling Jasmine sold me. Even though I know it's fake. Even though I know I'm one of several. Even though I know it's business, not betrayal. Because business is easier than grief. Easier than facing what I did. Easier than admitting I spent 76 grand on a lie while my wife was dying. The arrangement wasn't the problem. The exclusivity wasn't the problem. I was the problem. I am the problem. And I'm still looking, still messaging, still offering money for something that doesn't exist. Because wanting something real requires being real. And I'm not ready for that. This is my expat stories. Sometimes the exclusive mistress has 3 other clients. And sometimes the cheating husband is just looking for permission to keep cheating.